So we just want to do some surfacing. I'll open up a jigsaw. This needs a few more features, so I'll just come in and edit the body, and I'll just hide the remaining parts with Control Q, and we'll come into the surfacing. I need to create a new overmold of this grip here. So I've just offset that surface, and now I'll just hide the rest of the design body and show my swoosh sketch. We'll call this a swoosh. I want to use the new ST6 trim command to trim this surface with these edges. And notice in ST6 I don't need to either project the edge or do it in multiple steps. I can just do it very quickly and easy. Now I've also got a new reflective plane command, which just allows you to visualize as though it was completed. And I've also just going to use the new ruled surface command, and this basically just adds edges, and it can be a number of different edge conditions onto my body. So now I want to actually mirror it. I'm just going to grab all of those bodies, mirror them over the center plane that I've just got over here, and then I'm going to stitch these bodies together, these individual surfaces together, and after I've stitched them together I can then just simply apply a round. So I'll just grab the round command and we'll apply a round onto each of the edges. Hang on, I've got to select the chain, and there we go, I've applied a 2mm round. Now we want to see the rest of the body that we're going to add this onto. I'll just switch that back on now, and now we'll just union the new surface onto the existing body, that one and that one. And oh, hang on, let me just double check. I just want to show you, yes, I've done the stitch as well. I just couldn't remember whether I'd done that, sorry. So we'll now union onto this body the new surface. Okay, so that's, as soon as it comes up, there we go. That's now added that on, and I might want to make it actually look like rubber, so I'll just paint the new feature with our black rubber. So that's the first option. Next, we just want to go and add a new headlight into that area up the top. So I'll just switch on my headlight sketches and an angled plane, and I'm just going to come in and create an offset of the outside surface. I'll just do that by 1mm, and I'll also grab a copy of the inside surface just because I want to do some trimming and stitching to the inside surface as well. Hide the body, and now we'll use the old project command to project this bottom edge onto the front face in that direction. And now we'll use the extruded surface command just simply to create a strip surface to control tangency. We'll need this later on. Now I'll do a key point curve from the top edge. I'll come out a little bit and then come all the way down to the bottom. And the beauty with the new ST6 key point curve is I've got end condition control. So I'll just make that tangent continuous, and you can see I can just grab the handle and drag it out to graphically control those points. Now, as you can see, it's not quite in the right orientational position, the middle point. So I'll just drag that, and in ST6 it will always move perpendicular to the screen. So the way it looks on the screen is the direction it's moving. It just gives you better control over it. So I've now finished that key point curve. I'll create a blue surf from that new curve, those two, through to the previous curve, except as you can see it's not exactly the way I want it, so I'll just set the edge condition to be tangent continuous. Now that's a lot closer, however I might want to define my curvature in a little bit more detail. So I'll just put a new sketch in there, and you'll see it's added the sketch just above the blue surf in the Pathfinder. So I can now come back and edit this sketch and give it a little bit more detail. Now it's created a blue surf which I can simplify. So I'll just simplify that, and you see it's a lot easier to control when it uses less vertices. And I'll just put a horizontal vertical there, and you'll notice the vertices, or the control vertices, change colours depending on which side of the line they're on. And that just gives you a little bit more visual feedback. So I'll hide the strip surface, we don't need that anymore. And we don't need the key points and sketches. So now I'll just turn on reflective plane, get a bit better idea what it's going to look like. That's alright. I'll create a ruled surface just on the bottom edge, except I'll do it with a slightly different option this time. I won't do it normal to face, I'll do it tapered to this plane I've got here. And you can see I just set my direction. I can change whether I'm tapering in or out, and the angle. I'll just go down 21mm to make sure I intersect the inner surface. Now, the new ST6 command for intersect, what this allows us to do is both trimming and intersecting in one hit. I select the surfaces I want to intersect, then I select the areas that I want to remove from that intersection. And it just makes it very quick to work with surfaces like this. Then I'm just going to mirror these surfaces and about the center plane, and then I'll stitch them together to form a body. Now it's a solid body. It will initially be a construction solid body, and you can see that just in the top of the tree there. And now what I'm going to do, I'll just turn off the sketches, and then I'll bring back the rest of the main body. See, I can just toggle them on and off, and I'll just remove, using a Boolean command, that new headlight shape from the previous body. There we go. So I've just cut that out. Now I want to actually go back in and do a little bit more editing on that body, but before I do, I'll just toggle it to design, and I might just give it the name Headlight, for example. Okay, turn off the other body, and I'll continue working. Now what I want to do is I want to take a cut from the front face, and I'll just use this existing sketch, and I'll cut by a finite amount down into the body. There we go, it looks about right. Turn off that sketch, I don't need it anymore. Now with ST6 you also have a new command called the redefine command. It's in surfacing, and it allows you to redefine any surface and add or change the curvature and all of those kind of things. It's quite a nice command. So I'll just preview, and then I'll insert a sketch, and I'm going to use this sketch. I'll put it in at halfway along that line, and I'm going to use this sketch to just create this as sort of a lens shape. I'll just grab that handle, very similar to the blue surf handles, and I'll just preview that, and you can see it's now dished that surface to create sort of a lens shape. So quite a very, very powerful command, and that's brand new to ST6. Now I'll create a thin wall of this body. I'll just remove the back face using Quick Pick, and it's the same thickness as the main body. Then I'll just take a cut to let the light go somewhere. Now you'll notice if I key in these dimensions, then it adds the dimension into the drawing. So I'm just going to cut through all to make a spot for the light hole. Alright, so that's looking reasonable for the headlight at the moment. Now I also want a lens, and I want the lens to come from that point down to this point. And I can use a key point curve only with 2 points now, and then I'm going to use some of my curvature controls. And I'll make this end one normal to face, except I'll just bring the extent down quite a bit. Now I can use a blue surf, and blue surf from the bottom edge all the way up to the top edge. It obviously doesn't follow that curve yet, so then what I'll just show you some of the options. Normal to curve won't work. Basically it's just not relevant to this shape. Parallel to curve is not right for this either. However, I want to insert a guide curve, and that is another way of just achieving a very high level of control. I can set the bottom one normal as well. So just a few options there to creating your surfaces. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to add another body called the lens, because at the moment that sort of top surface is only a surface, and I want to thicken that by 0.5 millimeter just down into it. And then obviously I want to change how it looks so that it looks more like glass or something similar. There's glass. I'll just change that to the body. So now that lens is a glass body. I'll just turn off the key point curve. Alright, so I'll just turn the main design body back on, and now I'll boolean the headlight into the rest of the design body. And then we might want to add a little bit more curvature, for example. I'll just reactivate the jigsaw body. I can do that just by double clicking, and we'll add a couple of rounds. We'll add a nice small round on that part, and then I'll add a large round, maybe a 10mm round on the bottom edge. And lastly, we'll just use the part painter again, because we want these to be overmolded as well, and we'll just set that back to the black dull. Now I can part paint directly on the model or from the features in the tree, so long as I select feature and just select the last 3 features there. So you can see very quickly that the surfacing commands are much more keyed up for fast aesthetic design. Now there's one more part that I want to do, and that is the skid plate cavity. We've got a partially existing surface there already, and I just want to add again a 2-point key point curve and change the end conditions. I want that one curvature continuous, and this one tangent. Just change the direction of the tangency. And you can have quite a lot of shape control. Right, now the new bounded surface command, there's a few options. I can have it set to automatically close the boundary, and I can also, with the new bounded surface command, I've got the options for tangency on the faces. So I'll just set that to tangency continuous, and there we go. Now I'll hide this strip surface. We don't need that anymore. mirror it over, and then we'll have to stitch it all together. I'll just mirror it using that same center plane and stitch it all together. And there we go. I can now use this. So I'll turn the main body back on. And what I'll do first of all is I'll boolean this existing body with the new body. I'll just remove the material on the inside there. And then what I'll do is I'll thicken that surface back into the body. So I'll just show that surface and thicken it back into the main body. Just 2mm thick, same as the rest of it. And I could just apply a round, however we've got better features than that, so I'll just show you another option. We've got various round control there, but we've also got the option of a surface blend. I just select one, then the other. This will be a tangency continuous 5mm blend around there. So that's a quick look at some of the new surfacing features in ST6. I'll just bring back the rest of the model so you can see how it all fits and looks in the end. Much more aesthetic. So I'll hand back to you, Barry.